Good afternoon and welcome to this live broadcast, Heat Press Accessories, What to Use When. Heat press accessories are very profitable and resourceful for customers that are using heat printing a lot in their business because it keeps your heat press productive, versatile, and useful. So today we're going to be reviewing a lot of the accessories you see sitting here to decorate a few different garments and show why they can be useful and productive for your heat printing shop. All right, so with that being said, we can go ahead and dive in, but I want to ask before we get into the demonstrations that you like this broadcast, and if you have any questions throughout, please comment those in, and I'll be sure to visit those to make sure we're getting all of your questions answered. All right, and if you aren't already, please subscribe to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. All right, so the first accessory we're going to be reviewing is cover sheets. All right, so there are two types of common cover sheets, and we always talk about why it's important to use them whenever you're heat printing. The reason being is because a lot of different transfers that we're working with throughout the different print technologies have adhesive, which allows the product to adhere to our apparel or accessories that we're decorating for our customers. Because different things can happen and life happens, there are incidents where you can cause the adhesive to adhere to the top of your heating element. One of the most common times this happens is whenever you are working with heat transfers that are loose, such as names and numbers. All right, so the one demonstration I'm going to be doing for you today is our die cut numbers, all right, with thermofilm. Okay, thermofilm is very popular in the industry when it comes to name and numbering because they save a lot of cost when it comes to adding custom numbers to jerseys and t-shirts, etc. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that on a 100% polyester garment using our Hotronix Fusion. All right, so I have this 16 by 20 Platen loaded on here, so I'm just going to open this up like a pillow sheet cover and thread it on so that I'm only working with the surface of my garment. All right, what's nice about this is if I were to be doing a double number on the front and back is that I could easily turn this around without having to unthread or anything. So we are going to be decorating the back of the garment with these numbers. And I'm going to preheat. All right, that's one tip that we always recommend is that you're preheating to release any moisture or wrinkles. At this point, we don't really need to worry about working with a cover sheet because we don't have anything that we're printing on the garment as of yet. All right, now let's talk about these products and why these are some of the most common transfers that you're going to use a cover sheet with. All right, as you can see, there is no carrier over top of this. It's completely die cut. So we need to be careful about how we're placing this because one side has adhesive and one does not. So the shiny side, and I'm making sure I'm at an angle so I can see how the light is hitting this. The shiny side and the textured side of thermofilm is going to be upright, and then the smooth side, and it's more matted, is going to be on the bottom. Now, because sometimes it can be difficult to see if this is accurate, then that is going to cause an issue with this possibly applying upside down. So if this 3 were to be flipped, that adhesive would stick to my upper heating element had I not had a cover sheet protecting it. All right, so what's nice about craft paper, and that is the style of cover sheet that I'm using now, it is an easy throwaway, okay? So if the adhesive were to be upside down and sticking to that cover sheet, I'd be able to easily throw this away because it comes in packs of 10 or 25, and I don't have to worry about having to keep this, all right? It also comes in handy if you're working with sublimated garments. All right, so some garments are sublimated, typically your 100% polys, right? And if this were to have been a sublimated garment, then it would have transferred onto my cover sheet. And again, craft paper is an easy throwaway, so I could just toss this in a trash and toss this in the trash and then grab a new one. Now, you can see that we have a great finish here, and I will say craft paper does allow you to get a nice matte finish, all right? So if you are working with some products that are typically a little bit shiny or shows some sort of sheen. These craft papers do allow that to be matted a little bit. You will notice a little bit of shine, but it typically will keep everything very low luster. Now, when it comes to the other craft paper, which we call a nonstick cover sheet, but you may know them as Teflon cover sheets, those are going to make your transfers more shiny. Okay, so if you're wondering between the two cover sheets, which one you should go with, just know that those two make those two differences when it comes to the finished product. Now, we have used our reusable cover sheets or our nonstick cover sheets similar to the Teflon just as often as we use craft paper, but I particularly like to use craft paper because they are easy throwaways, and if something were to happen, I can just grab a new one because they come in a pack together. All right, so that reviews our cover sheets, and that's the first accessory I wanted to review because as a heat printer, that's one of the accessories you're going to be using most. As you're working with different transfer types or maybe even screen print inks, those cover sheets are gonna save you and your heat printing element from ever getting anything onto that. Now, if it ever comes to the circumstance where you do get an adhesive on the heating element, you're able to just use a soft scrub, which is kind of like an oven top cleaner, and just rub that after you turn your heat press off. Now, you do want to do it while your heat press is still warm because that adhesive or ink that's on there will be easier to wipe off. So just make sure you're turning your heat press off, get a soft rag, and use that soft scrub on there, and it'll remove that adhesive right away. All right, the next accessory we're going to review, still kind of in that cover sheet category, but this is called a flexible application pad. And this is one we get questions on a lot. What is the point of it? What are we using it for? Now, there are certain products that we use it mainly for, such as leather or acrylic or anything that has some sort of plastic in it to make up the content of it. Reason being, that stuff melts when it's exposed to high heat. All right, so this flexible application pad is going to keep anything from melting. All right, so I'm going to show you exactly how this works on our next product, which we'll be applying is a laptop case. All right, so this laptop case was sourced from Wholesale Boutique, and if any of you are familiar with Wholesale Boutique, you know that they use what they like to call vegan leather, which is a fancy name for faux leather, and faux leather tends to have plastic to make up that leathery texture. All right, so we're going to be applying this, but we want to take extra precaution because this will melt underneath the high heat. Hence, the reason we'll be using this flexible application pad. So I'm just going to be setting this on top of my 16 by 20, and we're going to be using our Super Tech Opaque product to personalize this. And because this is a thick product, I'm going to cover this with a cover sheet and test my pressure before I apply. So I know that I need to dial back my pressure because it does have some high density there. So I'm just going to let my Platen set down as I loosen it to see if it's getting lighter, and as I bring this down, it's going to let me know that my pressure is at about 6, which is where I need it to be for this application. Now I'm just going to take my product. You can see that flexible application pad is keeping that high heat from melting this item. Now, whenever you use this flexible application pad, you want to make sure, whoops, sorry about that. My handle wasn't locked in the back. So whenever you're working with this, you want to make sure that your time, temperature, and pressure is set accurately. So you're always going to go at the same time that your application instruction is set for, or your same temperature, my apologies. You want to make sure your temperature is set for what is recommended with that application instruction, but you do want to increase your time an additional 10 seconds. So Super Tech Opaque does apply at 10 seconds. So I'm going to be applying this for a full 20 seconds. Now I want to just reiterate I'm not doubling my time, I'm just adding an additional 10 seconds. All right, the reason being is because this has a very thick rubberized feel to it, for those of you that aren't familiar with this cover sheet, and it needs enough dwell time for the heat to make it through that cover sheet to cure that adhesive to the product, all while keeping that leather from melting. All right. My apologies, not sure what's going on there with the heat press. Hopefully I didn't break it. All right, looks like it's locked in place now. All right, so back over here. All right, so we'll just go ahead and remove this carrier. And you'll see that we were able to get a successful application with this logo without melting this bag. All right, so typically if something were to melt, especially with a pocket, this will actually start to stick to that, and that isn't happening. So we're actually able to keep that open, work with that, no damage done to the product at all, okay? All right, so keep that in mind that just because something has a synthetic type of content makeup for the product, it's not necessarily that you can't print it. It's just what workarounds can you use so that you can successfully add customization to what your customer wants. That way you're not turning away any business. All right, so far we've shown you the importance of cover sheets and the difference between the non-stick cover sheet and the craft paper, and also what the flexible application is used for. So not only can you use this for leather, you can also use it for products that tend to scorch under high heat. So if you're working with tri-blends or maybe spandex leggings and you're getting a big box from how you're printing it, this can keep that from happening. Just make sure you're always increasing the time an additional 10 seconds and follow the rest of the application instructions through. All right, so I'm going to set these aside. And next on the list, we have flexible application, print perfect pads. All right, so we just used the flexible application pad. The next thing we're going to use is a print perfect pad. So for those of you that are using heat presses that don't have the interchangeable Platen capabilities, print perfect pads and printing pillows are going to come in very handy for you isolating certain areas to achieve a durable application. So I'm going to be demoing a left chest logo on a quarter zip using a print perfect pad so that you can see that you can still isolate certain areas of a garment without damaging a product or keeping it from actually applying. So the first thing I'm going to do is the same thing I did earlier with that t-shirt, is open this up and thread it on so I can isolate the front part of my garment. Now if we're doing a left chest logo, we want our placement to be about here, which is very close to that zipper. So what this print perfect pad is going to allow me to do is thread this in there and raise the area that I'm looking to heat apply. So now the zipper is falling off to the side and it's not going to be hit with the heat press, which could cause uneven pressure for this to apply accurately. The product we're using is silicone 200. So we'll cover that with our cover sheet. Now I need to test my pressure again because we did lighten that up a good bit. All right, so now that my pressure is good to go, that application was just 5 seconds, so I'm gonna lock it down for another 5. Silicone does apply for 10 to 15 seconds. And then silicone is a cold peel as well. So whenever this is done, I can just take this off, wait for that to cool, load on my next application, which should be in the same spot, so my print perfect pad could just stay the same if I'm doing multiples of these, and just set this aside and wait for it to cool. All right, so again, that was the print perfect pad. This does come in different sizes, so if you did want a larger piece of this, you could do that. what I find a lot of our current customers that are using these are doing is getting the larger piece and cutting it down to whatever size they need. So for instance, if they're doing a synthetic fabric that could potentially scorch, if it's exposed to high heat, they'll cut it down to the size of the logo so that that is the only area of the garment that's actually getting hit with the heat and the rest of the garment is fine. So print perfect pads do come in handy. Now we can go ahead and peel this back. Doesn't seem like it's cool enough just yet. All right, so a piece of it started to peel, but I'm gonna wait for that to cool even further. This garment does like to hold a lot of heat, so it is still a little warm, so we will come back to that one. All right, so the next application is going to be using a heat printing pillow. Now, one thing I do wanna point out, because we do offer a variety of different products, is heat printing pillows are compatible with any heat transfer vinyl transfer. All right, so if you're ordering heat transfer vinyl with us, rest assured that all your heat transfer vinyl will apply just fine with those applications. However, if you're using screen print transfers, we don't recommend that you pair it with pillows. It just hasn't worked in our testing, so we recommend that you don't use screen printed transfers with these applications. All right, so the heat printing pillow is going to thread inside the pant leg to the area that I want to heat apply, which is going to apply right here for me on that by that side seam. And I'm just going to lay this on the platen and get my transfer so that I can heat apply. Now, one step I tend to forget is the preheat as I'm doing these demonstrations, so I do want to do a quick preheat on this. That's also going to allow me to test my pressure with that pillow in there. All right, we're at a medium pressure, which is exactly where we want to be at. So I'm going to place my transfer. And now I can heat apply for that full application time. I am working with high-vis color reflective, which applies at 325 to 330 degrees for 25 seconds. All right, so I do have my temperature for the majority of my products set at 300, but just keep in mind to always follow those application instructions. Sometimes whenever you're working with a variety of product in one set, it's good to find a happy medium when it comes to temperature for heat applying. At this point, all I have to do is unthread my pillow and wait for this to cool. While we're waiting for this to cool, I will visit some of the comments that are coming in. Hi everyone, lots of comments. I see you guys joining. Good morning. Got everyone from all over. All right. Cool. If you guys have any questions, let us know. All right, so now that it's nice and cool, I'm gonna peel back that carrier. And I just love high-vis color reflective. It has a really cool effect to it. All right, so you're able to get reflective with color. All right, typically reflective is done in silver, but what we've done is dyed that reflective product. If you're familiar with our 3M Scotchlite reflective, this is that same product, but it's dyed to give it that color, and it reflects really well, nice and vibrant. All right, so printing pads and pillows for a review. We have the pillows. These allow thick seams to sink in while raising the print area. All right, so this is another great product for those of you working with heat presses that you can't interchange platens with. All right, pillows work very well, specifically with heat transfer vinyl transfers. Print pads, all right, so print perfect pads you can thread into any garment. This raises an isolated area so that that section is the only thing exposed to the heat. All right, so that's the difference between these two. Okay, so the next is our interchangeable Platens. We have two styles of interchangeable Platens that I'm going to review with you. The first application I'm going to do is a hoodie on an 11 by 15 Platen. All right, so the first thing I need to do, and all Hotronix machines have the ability to interchange Platens with the quick change latch. All right, so I can just undo that latch. It allows me to lift up the Platen. All right, you can kind of see where that pin is that locks down in there. And now I have the ability to put in a different Platen. All right, so I have my 11 by 15. That pin's gonna drop right in there. I'm gonna lock this in place. The first thing I'm gonna do before I load anything on is test my pressure. Right, anytime you are loading in a new accessory, whether it be pillows, pads, or Platens, you need to test your pressure because that thickness can change. Okay, so I'm going to demo the 11 by 15 with a hoodie. The 11 by 15 is commonly used not only for hoodies, but also for slim fit apparel or children's youth apparel. All right, so if I load this on as is, you can see that my print area now has a very thick seam that I need to avoid in order for my transfer to apply accurately. All right, so what I'm gonna do is flip this to the landscape option. That's gonna lock in place for me. And now my thick seam is gonna fall off the back, and the print area that I need is now isolated. The hoodie seams and strings are off and out of the way, and my pocket is falling off the back, and now I don't have to worry about uneven pressure. So I'm doing a 2-color application here using Premium Plus High Tack. I'm gonna apply the largest piece of my design. And this is going to tack for just a few seconds. Before I do that, okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. All right, I'm not sure if you guys can see that on the cover sheet all that well from the camera angle, but you can see where this transfer has, or this cover sheet has been dyed from a garment that we heat applied. All right, so now this is a throwaway because we wouldn't want that to adhere to that upper heating element. So grabbing another cover sheet, we can go ahead and now successfully heat apply without damaging our upper heating element. Premium Plus is a warm peel. I'm mixing up my words today. Bear with me. All right, so after we let that cool for just a few seconds, we can go ahead and peel that back. Now you'll notice that I'm holding my transfer down as I'm peeling because we do have to lay in another color. And if you're familiar with working with Premium Plus, you know it has amazing stretchability. So if I peel that warm carrier too fast, it can distort my image. All right, so slow and steady wins the race. Take it nice and slow, and then you can easily lay in your next color and the registration will match up perfectly. All right, now we're gonna apply for the full application, which is 12 seconds. So we tacked the first layer for 5 seconds and peeled that warm. And now we're applying for the full application with Premium Plus that is 280 degrees for 12 seconds using a medium pressure. Still too hot. I'm going to actually peel that away from the Platen. And we can peel the rest of the carrier over here at the table as that is cooling down. All right. And a successful application. All right, so again, that is premium plus high tack. Very crooked. Kind of. All right. All right, so premium plus high tack, again, interchangeable platens allow you to isolate certain areas of a garment, so no thick seams or zippers or buttons, any type of obstruction in the way of getting a nice durable application. Right. So the other type of platen that is interchangeable with the Hotronix Auto Clam is the power platen. Okay, so the power platens are made specifically for those heat-sensitive garments. All right, so when I say heat-sensitive, anything that can scorch under high heat. All right, so in extreme circumstances, if you're working with a tri-blend or something that is a thin, lightweight, 100% polyester garment, these power platens are actually going to cure the adhesive from underneath the garment as opposed to on top of the garment. So essentially, you could say what we're doing here is scorching the inside of the garment with the heat from the bottom platen and curing it from the top by locking down pressure and heat. So we're really sandwiching the garment between two heating elements. Our bottom heating element is giving the highest heat, all right? So we'll be set at 315 to 320 degrees. Okay, my power platen is reading about 313, close enough for my 315. And then our top platen is going to be at a nice low temperature of 270 degrees. Okay, so we do have application instructions for you guys with the power platens so that you can see what everything needs to apply at. What we're trying to do with our products is do a standard application instruction with all of our products with that same application that I was just describing. So the 320 degrees at the bottom and the 270 on the top. Now for this application, I'm going to be using two different heat press accessories. Okay, so our power platen 1 and 2, our adhesive tape. All right, so this is called thermotape. What we commonly use thermotape for is anything that is loose and not sticky. All right, so any products that have a non-tack carrier and are very loose, all right, they move around as you're placing things, or our sim stitch or twills or anything like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Thermotape will keep things in place for you so they're not moving around as you're heat applying. I'm going to scoot this over a bit before it becomes an armpit print. All right, so this is just going to lock that in place. And now I don't have to worry about that cover sheet whenever I go to place it, accidentally moving this around on me and distorting how the application looks when I'm complete. All right, so that's going to stay right in place. I'm going to drop my cover sheet on there, and I need to make sure that my time is accurate. So sim stitch applies at 25 seconds. I'm also going to adjust my pressure. Still a little too light. There we go. All right, so again, anytime you're working with your heat press, make sure that you are, and interchanging different things, make sure you're always testing your pressure. Now the garment we're applying is a poly fleece, so that's why we're taking extra precaution and using the power platens so that we don't have a big square heat print box where our left chest logo is going to be placed. And now that that's complete, we'll be able to remove that thermo tape. And the sim stitch application is done. All right, and we didn't have to worry about that fleece scorching it all over here. And we have a good application. All right, so typically fleece will leave a big box like that. And now we don't have to worry about that happening with the power Platens. All right, so that is the last accessory that I wanted to show you guys today. And it doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in. I'll be sure to revisit those questions just in case I happen to look over one and get back to you after this broadcast is complete. Please like and subscribe to our Stahls All Things Heat Printing Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We'll see you on the morning show on Monday.